Hi Libra, Sun, Moon, Ascendant, or Venus. This is Dane, and I'm going to be doing your November 11th, 2021 reading for you. Your 11/11 reading. Now I ask if this reading resonates with you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're interested in any of the cards that I'm using, they will all be listed and linked in the description box below. Now before we begin this reading, let us clear the energy space, raising our own energy vibration and releasing any negativity. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. Releasing all negativity from the body like storm clouds, letting yourself feel calm, centered, and at peace as we enter into this safe and loving space. Let's let the bulls sing as we see what the tarot has to say. How will Libra be affected by November 11th? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. So at the bottom is our rooted self. The left-hand side is our inner self. The middle, our heart, our emotional self. The right-hand side, the public arena, the public self. Let me just move my camera just a bit so that you can see this a bit better. I hope that worked. Okay. So let's see what the root has to say. We have Scorpio right here at our root, which is the death card, the dying away of the old self, the rebirth of the new. If we're born on the cusp with Scorpio, or we have Scorpio energy within our chart, or Scorpios within our lives, they're going to be really affecting us at a root level. We're going to be sitting there and being like, I don't know where this is coming from. This sense of transformation, this sense of also secretiveness. We're going to have a tendency to hold things close to the chest, not really let everybody know or anybody know what's going on inside of us until we feel absolutely ready. So that's going to be something to be aware of. And then we have judgment. We can be afraid of people's judgment as we transform during this time, because what we're seeing here is so much, what we're understanding is so much, so that can become intense. But with judgment here, we're also finding ourselves rising out of the box that either we put ourselves in, we feel the world put us in, we feel, somebody else put us in. And why Spirit is saying here we feel is because Spirit's saying we were born free and we were meant to be free. So let us embrace that freedom of our own individuality. So that's really important here. We're kind of connecting with something that we knew once upon a time, but the world kind of took it away from us. We have the Seven of Swords. There's betrayals here that we're going to be looking at. Things that were sneaky, things that were left behind, that we need to leave behind, that aren't going to be able to be fixed, the way that we maybe want them to be fixed. So this is going to be a time where we are gaining an understanding. We're taking the knowledge that we need, and we're leaving behind a lot more. The Three of Cups. Now, the Three of Cups for me is always that sense of when somebody has raised their glass to you, that sense of where you thought they were going to be by your side, and then a betrayal comes in. Now, it can be seen both ways, most definitely, but these are the words that echo in our heads. This is the intensity that is a part of us and that has shaped us and makes it harder for us to trust people, because this could be somebody who is a parent or a guardian or a parental-like figure, or somebody who we thought was was going to protect us. This could be from when we were little. This could be our first loves. This could be, a sibling, a friend, a coworker, but just a betrayal that stays with us and is very hard to find footing after. Our emotional selves. We have the 9 of Wands, which is the sense of, I need to listen to me. I need to listen to what I need, what I want, where I'm headed within my life. The world is going to be saying a lot. And this is a time where we can't focus on the whole entire world, because we can't please the whole entire world. This is our life, and this is a life that we need to connect with. The Ace of Swords, God, Source, Spirit, however you see the divine, the universe, is going to be handing us this gift of knowledge and of insight. And it's a gift just for us because we're represented by the swords in the minor arcana. We're represented by justice in the major arcana. Then we have the 3 of Wands, which is freedom, most definitely. In the public arena, the sense of new horizons opening up, the sense of a way forward that we didn't think possible. And then the 5 of Cups comes in, which is hope. It's also change our minds and change our lives. Let us start looking at blessings instead of curses. Let us start, seeing beauty that is around us instead of just the darkness. And the mind is so powerful. So when we start focusing on things that go right, or when we start focusing on the way we want to embrace love within our lives, that starts changing the game, and that starts moving us in a very real direction. Now let's look at the energy we have to be mindful of during 11/11. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. So strength fell out immediately. Now it can be that we have to be mindful of a Leo energy, but we also have to be mindful of strength. Either our misconstrued understanding of strength. It could be, I think I'm supposed to be strong and stoic and this and that, not show feeling and not, let anything bother me. And stoicism, has its place in life most definitely. And the wisdom of the Stoics is absolutely important. But what we're seeing here is that this isn't brute force strength. This isn't the kind of sit out in the middle of a freezing lake strength and sit there for hours upon hours and not become cold. This is a strength of the heart. This is a strength of emotions. This is a strength of connection. And that strength is going to be what really moves us. So we have to be very mindful of that strength that wants it all to be physical, wants it all to be of endurance and not complaining. What we're embracing here is the strength of companionship, the strength of compassion, the strength of greater understanding. And it moves us to our chakra message. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly, angels and spirit guides. Listening. This is the throat chakra. And we begin to listen. Now we're air sign energies. We are all about the throat chakra. That's kind of our domain. To be able to express ourselves, to be able to speak and to say and to be is so important. And we do this through words. That's how we connect with somebody. We connect through words, we connect through the mind, and then everything else kind of falls into place, or it doesn't fall into place, depending on things. But here we have the art of listening coming forward. And it almost feels like a forgotten art. It feels like something that we pay somebody to do. We pay somebody to be a good listener, to listen to us, to hold space for us, to see us, to understand us, But this is saying here, we need to listen. We need to listen to the world around us. We need to listen to our own bodies, our own hearts, our own souls. 11/11 opens up that connection to our angels, to our spirit guides, to greater wisdom coming forward. And we need to listen to it. We just really need to listen. And it's going to be so easy to, turn on our devices, to have the background noise there, to not listen at all. But Spirit's saying, show up. Show up for yourself. Now, on November 11th, we have the first quarter moon in Aquarius. Now, here, the first quarter moon says assessing. It's all about assessing situations. Because it's in Aquarius, it brings love to the table. It also has us bringing our dreams to the table. What is it that we really want, that we really desire, the place that we want to be? 11/11 is a powerful time. Okay, it's a master number. It's a powerful number combination, and it's a time to connect with the language of angels. It's a time to connect with our angels and our spirit guides. But historically, if we think about the 11th day of the 11th month, even the 11th hour, it has significance. It is when the armistice was signed and fighting stopped for World War I. It is when people stepped back and looked at the destruction and looked at it with horror. And that's why it was called the Great War, because nobody had seen destruction and devastation like that up until that time. On the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, 1918, the armistice was signed. And it's the 11th hour Paris time. And what we see here is that still in the Commonwealth, a minute of silence is held on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month to remember the pain of everything. And so 1111 also has us connecting with that pain, because so many lives were lost. So much intensity came forward. And to forget that is to forget a huge part of our humanity. November 11th is also Global Gods Day. So whatever deity we worship, however we worship, it's coming together in respect and honor for the gods that be and the gods that live within the hearts of man. Angelically, 1111 is telling us that our angels are connecting with us, and pay attention. Pay attention to our surroundings, pay attention to our thoughts, pay attention to our emotions, because messages are coming. If we are star seeds, 1111 appears as we are awakening to our spiritual purpose and our mission here on earth. 1111 is also representative of our spiral twin strands of our DNA, calling us to consciousness, calling us to be here in the moment. And spiritually, 1111 has us reflecting on why we're here and where we're going and what we want. Doorways start to open, and they can open in the oddest ways. I was listening to, what's her name? Mel Robbins. And she said, we visualize wrong. We always visualize the outcome, the celebration, the success, my gosh, this was so magnificent. We visualize the highs. She says, we don't visualize the lows. We don't visualize the sacrifice that it's going to take to be able to have our own business or to run that race. We don't visualize the blisters that we're going to get, or the sore muscles that we're going to have, or the times that we're going to have to tell our friends no. The feeling of isolation, the feeling of failure when things aren't as successful as they were the month before. Here, when we talk about 1111, our spirits are guiding us to be in the moment, to visualize not only the successes that we want within our lives, but also the apprehensions and the fears and the chaos that we have along the way. And that's why we have here the death card, the dying away of the old self, the rebirth of the new. The sense of, I'm not who I thought I was, or I'm not the same person I once was. And that can be scary and overwhelming. Yes, we seek to become more mature and more centered and stable within our bodies and ourselves. But what if we're told that as we're gaining our voice and we're gaining this understanding of who we are, we're losing that youthful, desire that everybody seems to be obsessed with. And we're losing what makes people's heads turns. But we're finding ourselves. When it comes to the death card, there's a dying away of the old self and a rebirth of the new. There's a sense of, I'm changing, and I will always be changing, and I have to mourn that change, even if we feel like it's superficial or silly or like we have no right to it. We definitely do. Here, during this time, we're connecting with bringing love into the world, but also with being loved. Not for what we can bring somebody else, but for who we are. And that's powerful. Being heard when the whole world just seems to be talking over everybody. And everybody has a list of what they want and what they need. And nobody seems to be listening to what the other person wants and needs. Here, with this energy of death and rebirth, is this energy of finding ourselves and connecting with ourselves and understanding ourselves. And it brings us out of that box, but it also brings us to an understanding forged by fire. An understanding forged by intensity. We are showing up. Maybe begrudgingly, maybe overwhelmingly, but we are showing up to who we are and how we want to move forward within our lives. When it comes to judgment, we can feel like the whole world is judging us. But we have to know that to care about that judgment, we are also judging us. Are we doing so kindly? Or are we doing so out of anger and frustration? Are we where we want to be? Or do we still feel like there's miles to go before we have that footing, before we know ourselves? How are we being reborn, and how are we seeing it during this time? How are we embracing ourselves? It moves us to betrayals. Our inner self during this time is dealing with a lot of betrayals, a lot of hurts, a lot of people who raised their cups to us and yet just couldn't be there the way that we needed them. And maybe it's a two-way street. Sometimes we need to talk to these people, and sometimes we need to just look at things and say, okay, what is their anger and does it have validity? But other times We need to step back and say, why am I searching for the approval of my mother or my father who never gave it, for my caregiver who never gave it, for that person who walked away and devastated me, who I thought I loved more than life itself? Why do their words get to trump my own? Why is it that this pain gets to feel so real every single day? Inwardly, we're looking at pain here. We're looking at the way we want to progress forward, and we're connecting. We're connecting with our angels, we're connecting with our emotions, we're connecting with our surroundings, and we're saying, I see you. I see me, Libra. And that is what we're saying to ourselves. I see who I am. I see who I want to be. I see my aspirations and my dreams and my failures and my hurts, but I don't get to live in somebody else's narrative anymore. And it moves us to our hearts, taking in what everybody else says and feeling battered and bruised and not realizing that we're still standing after all these battles. We're still standing after the hardships and the pains and the disappointments. And because we're still standing, we're still powerful. Yes, we might have headaches. Yes, we might have sore muscles. We might feel just completely stressed out, completely overwhelmed, kind of like we want to go in and pull the covers over our heads and stay in bed for a couple of days. But emotionally, we have to look at the fact that, again, we're still standing. We're still strong. We're still moving forward in this determination. And we have to also look at the fact that everybody has their opinion. Everybody has the way that they're living their lives. We also get to have the way that we're living ours. Emotionally, we're embracing our passion. We're embracing the way that we want to move forward. We're understanding the hardships. We're understanding the hurts. We're understanding the pain. And it moves us to the Ace of Swords. It moves us to cutting through doubts and fears and negativity. But it also moves us to a nobility of our inner selves. Because remember, medieval times, only the noble, only the wealthy owned swords. That's why if you look at art pieces from that era, you will see that the peasants rise up, but they rise up with pitchforks and they rise up with shovels. And I always thought that was just a romantic motif. But it's because those were the weapons they were allowed, or that they had. And others had the better weapons to take them down. And so here, what we are seeing here is the power of our mind, the power of our voice, the power to cut through doubts and fears and negativity and stand in the presence of who we are, but also the intensity of where we want to be, to open up that door and to gain that understanding. Gifts are coming in where we're focusing on our words and our minds and our desires, and it moves us to seeing new worlds in the public arena. During this time, we're embracing a path towards freedom, towards a freedom of ourselves, towards a freedom of what we want, towards a freedom of inspiration, but we see ourselves moving towards this more and more. We see ourselves opening the door. We see our angels and our spirit guides opening the door and say, come forward, step forward. The way is beautiful, the way is safe, or the way is chaotic and it's overwhelming, but it's the road we need to walk. And it might not always be, puppy dogs and roses, and that's okay, because it's most likely not going to be. Life is about suffering. And that sounds pessimistic, and they say that in Buddhism, life is suffering, but it's the best way to translate, that life is harsh and painful, and it has these beautiful, glorious moments in it, but it also has these moments that seem unbearable. Just like in Christianity, they say, what is your cross that you have to bear? What is the burden that feels overwhelming at times? Does it get to take away from our joy? Or does it get to symbolize the fact that we're still moving forward? The fact that we are still loving and connecting and hoping and laughing in a world that makes it difficult at times to do so. And then the Five of Cups, hope. Change your mind and change your lives. Change what we are looking at, and the hope starts to come back into our world. The fact that things still stand. The fact that there is still beauty and laughter and connection and love and emotion. The Five of Cups comes in, and it says we can look at what's built and what's lost for the rest of our lives, wrapping ourselves in cobwebs of the past and never letting ourselves move forward. Or we can acknowledge a pain that might always be with us, a loss, a hurt that scars our hearts and our souls, and that we see and we state and we claim it and we understand it. But we turn and we say, I get to be loved. I get to have beauty in my life and laughter and joy, and I get to have the world that I envisioned for me, even if it's terrifying. Sometimes not having our dreams, as odd as it sounds, not having our dreams is safer than going after what we've always longed for, what we've always wished for, what we want deep down in our heart of hearts, in our very soul. That's the reason why we were put on this earth, to go after those dreams that when they come forward are absolutely stinking terrifying. But they're amazing too. Our subconscious energy to be mindful of is the Prince of Wands. We need to be mindful of just charging forward, not thinking about things. And we need to be mindful of the people who just charge forward, not thinking, not taking into consideration anything else. Our subconscious chakra message is angels and masters. Our angels and our spirit guides are right here. This is the soul star chakra located 6 inches above our crown. They are right here. It is time for us to connect. It's also time for us to know that we are loved and cherished. Our subconscious rooted message is the Hangman. We see things differently, and there's nothing wrong with that. We see things differently than everybody else. And as we connect with these different insights and these different ideas, we don't get to tell ourselves that we're wrong just because we don't fit in with the norm or with everyone. We start to connect, we start to understand, we start to see. And that changes the game for us, most definitely. But we're going to see things quite differently than we have before. Our subconscious emotional self is the Ace of Swords. Again, God, Source, Spirit, however you see the divine, the universe, is handing us this gift twice. A gift just for us, of knowledge, of determination, of focus, of insight, of the power of our voice and the power of our mind. And how that is a force to be reckoned with. It's embracing our words, it's embracing our thoughts, it's diving deeper into things. We're going to be a bit of a warrior during this time, and that warrior mentality is going to serve us well. We're well armed for it. Our subconscious emotional self is the Three of Swords. And yet, so much from the past, so much of hurts and pains are coming forward. With the Three of Swords, it's the wounds that don't seem to heal. And this is a time where we don't sweep things under the rug anymore. We're actually super tired of sweeping things under the rug. We're going to say things just to say them, just to get them out in the open, because we're tired of our hearts feeling a certain way. With the Three of Swords, we're looking at hurts and pains and disappointments and scars and things that have devastated us and patterns of pain that have perpetuated within our lives. And we will never heal the scar, there we go, completely. It might always hurt when it rains or when it's really cold outside or even when it's really hot. But what we're going to find is that we acknowledge it and we don't get to have an open, festering wound anymore. We give it name. And as we name it, as we claim it, as we see it, we take its power away. And we claim that power again. We're definitely taking away 2 of the swords that impale. You know, here it's 1 sword in the back, right? But in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, it is a heart with 3 swords stabbing into it. We're taking away 2 of them right now. Subconsciously in our inner selves, consciously in our emotional self. And then we have our public arena self, subconscious self, and it's the Three of Swords again. It's that hurt and that's that pain that subconsciously is holding us back emotionally, and it's going to hold us back in the public arena because it's like, but I can fail, but I can have everything fall apart, but it happened once before. And it's like, yeah, it happened once before. It was part of lessons and learning and journeys and stories. You know, the best stories in life that we read and that we're entertained with on the big screen, they're not the easy ones. They're not the flowery, sugary, you know, kind of Hallmark stories type of thing. They're the ones with depth and breadth and hurt and pain and suffering and triumph and perseverance. And that becomes the game changer here. We have the repeat of the number 3, now 3 times. Divinity is watching over us. This day, this global God's Day, is going to be important to us and for us. We have the repeat of the number 2, of the number 1 twice. So that makes 11. Now, if we add it up, yes, it makes 2. But 1 and 1 standing side by side is 11. This day is going to be a big day for us. It's going to be intense, more intense than we realize. And it's going to be powerful, more powerful than we want it to be. And it's going to propel us in a direction, if we let it, that can seem overwhelming and scary, but leads us towards something more than we imagined we could be led to. All right, Libra. I hope this reading has resonated with you. I wish you nothing but light, love, peace, and happiness. May harmony always be with you. I'm sending loving, healing energy to each and every one of you. I love you all, and stay safe. Let's end this reading with a meditation, a clearing away of negative energy, a raising of our positive energy as we embrace the power and the beauty of this 11:11. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. May you move forward in peace and in harmony, Libra, and may you have a blessed 11:11.